This meeting is being recorded.
This meeting is now starting the quarter meeting, December 8th, Los Paseos Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Greg, we're going to hand it over to Barbara, right, to do the LPNA business?
Yes, here's our agenda for tonight. We'll do some LPNA business, and then Sergeant Jeffrey Yates will give us an update. Michele will give us an update from the District 10 office, and then we'll talk about some member inputs and anything else that comes up during the night here. So go ahead, Barbara. First item on the agenda is the LPNA business.
Okay, we have some various updates. The first two items are kind of administrative, the election of officers and talking about the grant. So let's go on to the election of officers. So all of the current officers nominated themselves to serve again. Thank heavens. And our president, Greg Peck, is signed up again. And Karen Latin is our vice president, who is running the slides for us tonight. There's Greg. Karen's running the slides. I'm the treasurer. That means I'm the one that I'm the one that cracks the whip and keeps people in line. And Secretary Lynn Steele.
Thank you.
And our members at large are Alan Chan.
Hello.
Hi, Alan. And Herb Bowen.
Hello.
All right. The process for the election is, since if we were all in person, we would do it by a show of hands, but we can't do that. So the way we do it is by a general consent for the slate above. We're not going to vote individually since nobody jumped up to volunteer for a spot. So we have a slate with one candidate for each position. If anyone wants to abstain or raise any question or objection, please comment in the chat or unmute yourself and speak up, and I'll just pause for a minute to see if there are any comments. Okay, it doesn't appear that anybody has any comments. So since there have been no objections, we declare the slate of candidates, nominees elected for another year. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we can go on to talk about money. On the our main source of money for operating is grants, the Beautify San Jose grants the city gives to neighborhood associations. We have some sponsors who also give us money, but the city grant tends to be the largest amount that we get to play with in a year. We had a $3,600 grant that ends December 31st, but all of the projects on it have been completed at this point. The largest amount was spent on National Night Out. We had 500 people, over 500 people for National Night Out. It was an amazing event. We also completed a planting in the park, which we'll talk about. And we had our holiday event. Those were the single biggest things. We also had some other social events, and then there's some administrative things like that the grant pays for that are smaller in nature. For 2023, we have already applied for our grant, but the grants have not been awarded yet. We applied for $5,000 for 2023. The largest portion, again, will be supporting National Night Out. Since we had such a large turnout, we increased the amount we're asking for National Night Out under the grant by a small amount. We also have a new project, a new planting project. This past year we planted in the park, where the new project that we're applying for will be for increasing the number of street trees in the neighborhood. to increase our canopy and beautify our neighborhood. We also are applying for a grant to cover social events such as our holiday event and other small social events. We did barbecues in the park last year. We'll likely do those, and we may try some other events. So the grant, we expect to hear about the grant before the end of December. So we're going to go on to the holiday event. So there's a picture of the LPNA crew who helped support and run the event in addition to the people from the Los Paseos HOA who co-hosted with us, and they provided the venue and some of the activities. We also were honored to have Matt Mahan visit us and sit with Santa for a photo op. And on the next slide, we had lots of families and kids, some of whom adored Santa, some of whom were terrified by Santa, which is par for the course. We were also honored to have Engine 27 show up with its crew of firemen, and our new police lieutenant, Mike Bui. He's in the picture with all the firemen and policemen. He's on the left end. He's new to our district as lieutenant.
How did we find out about this event? It already passed, but we didn't get notified about it.
It was posted on Nextdoor. It was sent to our email list.
Oh, how do I become a member of the email list?
You just need to send us your email.
Who's this speaking?
Hi, Becky Mendez on Avenida Hispana.
Okay.
Becky, why don't you, you can actually use the chat and private message Greg.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
you pick his name from the chat and you just send your email to him. And we're sorry that you weren't on it.
Send it just to him, and he'll may put you onto the list. And
Becky,
you would get.
are you related to Tony Mendez?
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. So yeah, send me an email or put it in the private chat, and I'll get you on our email list for going forward.
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's fine.
No, it's fine. And also, Becky, just so you know, we do this annual event every year, and it's usually the first Saturday of December at the clubhouse. It's a partnership with the Homeowners Association at the clubhouse. So, you know, you can always kind of put it on your calendar for the first Saturday of December.
And we have refreshments. We had cider and cocoa and cookies and nice nibbles, and we have crafts for the kids and Santa and the fire truck, and they collect toys for tots at this event. So
And Becky,
it's a fun event.
Becky, I'll give you a little update in history of our neighborhood association and talk with you a little bit, maybe get you up to date of what we've been doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But always good to see new people.
Yes.
Which neighborhood do you live in?
My son and I, we just bought a house on Avenida Hispana. We are in the Los Paseos neighborhood.
Yes.
Great. Super.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Should I go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Greg,
So
you're
Greg,
gonna.
I think Greg's next.
Oh, the holiday event. Yes.
No, the park adoption.
About 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I was walking through the park over by the tennis courts and noticed that there's a park adoption sign up there by the tennis courts. I've seen that off and on for the years. And so I made a call to the Parks Department and asked if the Los Paseos Neighborhood Association could adopt the Los Paseos Park, because it appeared that there wasn't anybody that had adopted it. So Sue Bowling from the Parks Department met with us in the at the park in the picnic area, And lo and behold, we applied for park adoption and we were approved. It was very neat. They're going to put a sign up there with our logo on it, and they're going to put one over by the tennis courts, and they're going to put one over by the picnic area by the restroom building. So we're very happy and proud to be adopted this Los Paseos Park. We do a lot of work in the park. Herb Bowen, who is here tonight, does a lot of work and working with the city and the Parks Department on getting the park up to date.
As does Barbara.
Recently, Barbara can explain what we did of tree planting.
And one of the advantages of the adopted park is that it gives us some more resources. We've already used the stuff they gave us to get rid of some graffiti in the restrooms. They gave us some supplies to remove graffiti. So there are other advantages for getting volunteers, and volunteers are also covered by the city's insurance if you've filled out the forms and when you're working in the park. So there's some advantages. We've been doing much of this stuff all along, but being the official adopters of the park brings some advantages.
So Barbara, I think the
Barbara-
park tree planting is next.
Yeah. So one of our big projects this year was getting 10 trees planted in the park. And we showed up on December 1st in steady, cold rain. What troopers our volunteers are. So I'll name the volunteers. The person holding the auger is actually a city employee, not a volunteer. Down front is Peter Chen. And then in the back on the left is Eric Cortinas. Then the next one holding the shovel is me, and my friend Joyce Menina came to help us. Then in the maroon jacket is Lynn Steele, our secretary. In the light green is Jen Holst. And in the purple in the back is Rachel Chamberlain, who was her first time volunteering with us. So we were very glad to have her join us. And Festus the dog was our cheer dog, our cheering section. He belongs to Jen Holst. And then the next picture shows Peter Chen really digging in to plant one of the maple trees. So we planted 3 different species of trees. We planted maples along the pathway toward the parking lot. And I'm really looking forward next fall to those having some really bright color. So on the next slide, these are pictures taken on a sunnier day of the planted trees. So on the left is one of the oaks. We planted 2 oaks up on top of the mound where some trees had been taken out recently. And so we planting some oak trees in that area. It's a little drier area, and they're very drought tolerant. So there'll be good choices up there. And then we planted 5 elm trees. Now we haven't had elms around for a while because of the Dutch elm disease, but these are hybrid Asian elms, and they are resistant to the Dutch elm disease. So we can have the beauty of elms again by the hard work of some botanists to get us things that are resistant to the Dutch elm disease. So these will provide some shade around the swing area. Eventually, it takes a few years for them to get bigger.
So thank you, Barbara, for coordinating that tree planting. It was very nice for the park, and it was a fun day out there.
Not sure I'd use the word fun, but it was fun.
There was coffee and donuts.
Yes, the
Yeah.
coffee and donuts helped.
All right. Herb, you
You're
have an
muted, Karen.
update?
Yeah, well, so we've had a bunch of park projects that we submitted to the Parks Department. One was the water for the native garden. They finally finished that after 6-8 months of thinking with them. So that water's there. We still probably have to get all the connections to it, but that was a big project. They finished it off finally. We have some signage that we need to add that they're going to put in, and a new bench across from the tennis courts. So we're hoping to get a nice metal bench and get rid of the wood one. We had some other, fix-it projects for the barbecue and other things. We'll follow up with that next year with them. Then can I do quick on the SJN cert?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So San Jose Neighborhood CERT team has had communications meeting last night. We're looking for more people to take training. Every month we have training. So if you're interested in becoming a CERT member, which is the Community Emergency Response Team, you can go to our website, sjncert.org, or contact me and I can get you set up for classes and get into our communications program and a lot of programs that we're starting up to get the city equipped for emergencies and disasters. Thank you.
Hey, Herb, maybe you could mention our local walkie-talkie group.
So that's part of the communications group that we have. Wyman has helped with that to get that going. We have MERS radios we use in the community, and we can always use more. We'd have to get radios, but we'll work that out if we want more people involved with that just in our community. We use MERS radios for our community. I think we almost have 14 people that have radios, maybe 15. That would help us in a disaster, if something happened, we can communicate between ourselves. Then we're working on a higher communications things with GMRS radios and the ham radio network also with Aries and Races. So that's a big thing for us to communicate when there's a disaster.
Yeah, so for the local here with Wyman, we run local tests occasionally, and we've got this whole neighborhood of Los Paseos covered with walkie-talkies spread out. So in case there's an emergency of some sort where cell towers go out or things go down, we'll be able to communicate with our walkie-talkies across the neighborhood and lend help or things of that nature. So that's you. If you want to get involved in that, you can let us know about that and we can get you involved in that program. It's kind of neat. Thank you. So I think the next item.
Herb, do you want to put your contact info in the chat?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that here in a minute when I finish this item here. Everyone, right? Everyone, okay. I'll do that in a second. The last item here on this slide is some ideas that we've been coming up with the Los Paseos Neighborhood Association is to start developing committees or groups within the neighborhood that could work on projects that come from the neighbors themselves. There's a couple of them right now that people come up with ideas at the park or for tree planting. And there's a recent request from someone to put benches in Paseo number 2, which is the Paseo between Cheltenham Way and Avenida España. So we're starting to work with the city on that project. And if you would like to get involved in some of these things, or you have another idea that you would like to present for the betterment of our neighborhood, please let us know. So that's that on that. I'll put my okay.
Are we ready to go on to Sgt Yates?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So Sgt Yates, we're welcome to our meeting and we're happy to hear what you have to say about crime and statistics in our neighborhood.
Well, great. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I do have a few figures that I pulled out that I think might be pertinent to your neighborhood. Well, it is pertinent to your neighborhood, but some of them are, and I have.
Karen, can you spotlight him? Excuse me, or let him be seen? Sorry.
That's all right.
He is spotlighted.
Oh, I didn't see him.
I don't know what happened there.
Is it something on my side?
I don't think so. I don't know. You are spotlighted, so I think it's the way Greg has his screen set up.
Or if you unshare for your screen for the.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. Yep. There we
Yeah,
go.
there we
Yeah,
go.
Sorry.
okay, there we go.
Sorry.
There we go.
We did talk about that.
Okay,
All
so
right,
go.
Sergeant Yates.
Okay, so in September, we've had 3 burglaries, 1 battery. There was no stolen vehicles in your neighborhood. And then there was 1 felony assault. For October, there was 2 burglaries, 2 batteries, 2 stolen vehicles, and then no felony assaults. And it looks like for the total for September, total calls, and that was just initiated by like the 911, it was 23. And then in October, it was 21. So that's what we have for that.
How does that compare with other areas?
Quite frankly, I think it's really well compared to other areas. Yes. I can only kind of speak from my experience, and I know from my experience, and I'm the swing shift sergeant, so that's from 3 o'clock till 1 in the morning. And it's on one side of the week, so I work 4 days. But I can tell you honestly that it's very rare that I respond or have officers responding out in your neighborhood. And I really think that's a positive thing, and I'm sure you do too. Having said that though, I did get wind of a little mini sideshow that was occurring out in front of Fire Station 27 there. And with the help of citizens and your cameras, we were able to get the license plate on both vehicles. I was able to turn that over to one of my officers, and I'm pretty proud of him and for all the effort he puts into different aspects of the job. But this one, he ended up getting warrants. He went to saw a judge and he got a vehicle warrant on both of those vehicles. And within a week, those 2 vehicles were impounded. And when they get impounded for 30 days. Well, hopefully.
Awesome. And it also takes a lot of money to get it back, right?
Yes. If it actually stays in there for 30 days like it's supposed to, we're talking probably in the upwards of $3,000 to get that out, if not more. Yeah, so it's a significant hit for those people that decide to do these little sideshow things. So I'm pretty happy about that. To let you know, on this side of the week on swing shift, 6 officers, and that's when I have a full team. And I hate to say it, but it's rare that I have a full team. I'm happy when I have a full team, but whether there's people that are sick, officers that are sick, or officers that are on vacation, but 6, and that spans from all the way from the Morgan Hill border, all the way to Santa Teresa and Blossom Hill, kind of where the mall is over by In-N-Out over there. So just to kind of give you an idea of the span of District Yellow.
So Sergeant, that's yellow and X-ray. Are you the sergeant over X-ray too, or not?
No, I'm just yellow. That,
Okay.
and I just mentioned that's District Yellow.
Okay.
Sergeant
Thank you.
Yates, can you give us any kind of update or information on your interactions with the EIH communities over at Rue Ferrari and Bernal and Monterey, and how from a police perspective those are, how are those working out from a police perspective and stuff?
Calls of service.
That's an excellent question. Calls for service, I don't have data on that, but again, I'll refer to experience. And my experience is that we have very few calls to either one of those. It's my understanding that maybe the fire department has a lot more calls than we do, for medical reasons and stuff like that. But very few times that we have to respond out to the Rue Ferrari or the Bernal. Actually, I think there's more times that we actually go out to the behavioral health that's over there off of 1 block east.
Interesting.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Sergeant, I got an input from the fire stations 27 over here the other day that the calls for service that you're talking about to the fire department happen because medical conditions, and there's sometimes some people over there that are abusing the process, and they almost call the fire department almost every day. There's some little bit of that going on, so That's
Right.
one reason to say that calls for service to the fire department are a little bit high.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They had 55 calls from the fire department last 3 months.
Yeah.
last 3 months?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Brent gave me he gave me some information, and I mean, I'm kind of wondering about how many calls, 5150 calls you get, and just calls of service for domestic stuff. Probably none in our area, but a lot, the other areas, Edenvale and things like that. Because people are always saying the EIH is, oh, we have so much problems, but really it's outside of that.
I from my experience, I agree with you.
Do you get a lot of calls to, I don't know what's going on with the encampment that was, it was actually abated behind Great Oaks Water. And I don't know if they've returned. Are you aware of that encampment? It was a large encampment behind Great Oaks Water off of Great Oaks Boulevard.
Great
And
Oak Water?
yeah. It's right at
Can
the
we
edge
ask-
of Great Oaks is right at okay, if you go in, if you have Costco, right by the substation, that street, and you're coming towards our neighborhood and you have that curve.
Yes.
That's Great Oaks Water, that building right there at the corner of the curb against the railroad tracks. And behind there was a very large encampment, and it was abated. And then they got all scattered all over, and it's been a month or two, so I don't know if they've returned to that area or if you're aware of anything.
So I was out there, that must have been about 2 months ago, looking for somebody. Actually, I think somebody that victimized your neighborhood. And I was appalled by what I saw. Honestly, that was the first time that I went down there, and it was a mess.
Mhm.
And then it got cleaned up because I had to go back out there probably 3 or 4 weeks later. And I was surprised. They really cleaned it up. There was a few people that had returned.
Okay.
But and that was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago that I went out there. I haven't been back since. So I really don't know what it
Oh.
looks like.
But do you
All
get a
right.
lot of calls to that area?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't know why that is. Maybe they don't want to call 911. They take care of the issues for themselves. I don't know.
Or the
Excuse
businesses
me for the,
don't
excuse
call.
me for the
Yeah.
interruption. I'd like to welcome Matt to our meeting.
Hi
Hi,
there.
Matt.
Hi, great to
Matt,
be here with
and
you. all.
Sergeant Yates, can you hold on a few minutes? Because
Absolutely, I can do that.
thank
Hello,
you very much.
Sergeant.
Hi, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you bet. Hi, everyone. Hi, Greg.
Thank you, Matt. Maybe you can give us a little update, and thank you for coming.
Of course. Yeah. No, thanks for having me. And sorry, it's a little rushed this evening. I'm just kind of bouncing between things, but didn't want to miss this. A couple things I can quickly update on, and then happy to do some quick Q&A if you have some questions. Probably the biggest update, which you're probably all aware of, is that the council has decided that our next District 10 council member, who will serve the final 2 years of my term, will be selected via an appointment process. And that's also true for the council member for District 8. So Councilmember Arenas was elected to the county. I'll be going to the mayor's office. There are 2 seats with 2 years remaining. I personally felt very strongly that we ought to take it to a special election, which is what we've done in 5 out of the last 5 times. I think it's a better process, though it does cost money and there is a delay. So there are trade-offs. But nonetheless, the council voted 7-4 to go with an appointment process. We have not spelled out all of the details yet. The clerk is going to come back with a proposed process in January. I certainly encourage folks to, we will share the update on what the process looks like. And then I certainly encourage folks to consider throwing your hat in the ring. It's really important that our district has active, engaged neighborhood leaders represent us. I suspect it will be some sort of 2 or 3 step application and interview process with the council. So we will keep you informed. Given that on January 1st, I will be in the mayoral office, I'm going to be asking members of my District 10 team to stay in the D10 office to provide constituent services in January and maybe beyond. So let me pause there. I'm sure there are going to be some questions on that one. So do folks want to chime in quickly with questions? Hi, Karen.
I do.
Sure.
So you're going to get a whole new staff in the mayor's office and leave everybody And are they going to
No.
maybe transition
No,
to?
no, so certainly some members of D10 will come to the mayor's office. The mayor's
Okay.
team is around 20 people,
Mm,
and the council office is more like 5 or 6, depending on how you use your budget. So it's a larger team. Members of the D10 team will be coming over, maybe not everyone. We're still figuring that out. But my point is, you're going to have no representation and very limited. You won't really have much of a council office for District 10 for that first month or two, unless we keep some of our staff in there to at least be a point of contact and continue updating the community and sending out a basic newsletter and those kinds of things.
I thought they were going to do an interim appointment for like 3 or 4 months, and no, they're not doing even
No.
a short-term appointment.
No, it was kind of either or. We were either going to do a special election with either an interim appointment or no appointment, or go straight to an appointment process.
Okay.
The interim would make sense if we were waiting to do a special election in 4 months, but I think the council's intention is to appoint someone by the end of January.
Okay. As long as we don't miss the budget cycle.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any time when you can tell us who's going to maintain in the District 10 office right now? Like, if for
Oh,
instance,
sure.
is Michele Dexter?
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk with the team. So this is all happening
Okay.
in real time. It's been a very busy
Yeah.
week. We had the special meeting on Monday. We had a very full council meeting on Tuesday. As you can imagine, the transition is a little crazy right now. I just got an invitation to the White House. So there's a lot going on, but I am going to be sitting down with the District 10 team to figure out our transition plan, and we will absolutely communicate that out to everybody before the end of the year.
Okay,
I want to make
Thank you.
sure you're not left hanging. We will absolutely have folks in the office to answer calls and emails and keep you updated.
Thank you.
Herb,
You
Herb,
bet.
So, yeah, we saw that whole mess. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stayed up. So I guess the big question, and Sylvia made this a thing, is her office doesn't have any representation, like budgeting and stuff. Would your team bring your budget up so the next person would be ready for that? I mean, I can understand that being an issue for the next year, because somebody comes in, they don't know about budgeting. And, we had a budget this year. Can we use some of that for 10?
Yeah, Herb, yeah, totally. So sorry,
That sounds.
I'm hearing a bunch of static. There we go. We actually are required to split our council budget every year into half. And we are only allowed to spend half of the council budget in each half of the year. So there's no issue around budget. The only issue is getting someone in there and making sure they build out their team, and then helping them to do onboarding. And just as Councilmember Camus did for me, I will be very accessible to and offer some training and guidance to whoever the new council member is to help them get oriented.
Okay. And there's one guy in the mayor's office right now I'd like you to hold on to, Tree Nguyen. He's a Vietnamese guy that was at a lot of the events. Good guy.
Okay.
So, think about him or talk to him. Yeah, he was really influencing stuff in there. So
All right. Appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Okay. Other thing, unless there's anything else on the appointment process, I think it's kind of a little bit of a TBD. We will circle back with who is going to be staffing the D10 office to provide constituent services. And then number 2, how does this appointment process really work? And if you are interested in applying or being involved. One thing, by the way, I'll just add this as a third point there and then move on. I still want to do everything I can to make it as open and participatory as possible. Having been a candidate a couple of times, I firmly believe that we get better representation when people have to go through the gauntlet of knocking on doors and doing forums and community meetings and really having to answer the tough questions. So I would love your opinions. Maybe you could share them if you're interested via either Michele or the District 10 email address, district10@sanjoseca.gov. I'd love your thoughts on what you would want to see out of the process. Certainly the council is going to make the decision. We will get applications, we'll do some kind of interviews, and then we'll vote. But I would love to hear your thoughts on maybe I can help host a forum, other thoughts you might have on what you'd want to see. Okay, second item, just quickly, really want to put in another plug for the Neighborhood Commission. It's one of the most important commissions. It actually gets involved in the budget process. It focuses on neighborhood services, safety, cleanliness, blight issues. That they're really your voice to the council. And so if anybody here is interested, please let Michele know. We need to fill those seats. And then I feel like I had a third item, but I'm forgetting. So Michele, feel free to chime in, or we can just do some quick Q&A if there's anything else.
EIH maybe?
Yes, that was the third item. Thanks, Karen. Karen, you should join the team.
She is.
Good. So where we are, this was from 2 weeks ago now. Staff's preferred location is Cottle Park and Ride, as I think you all know. We have left open the door to a couple follow-up conversations around Great Oaks and around 85 and Santa Teresa. I think at this point, it is very likely that Cottle is the site. As you all know, I had voted against Great Oaks previously just because of the concentration of sites around your neighborhood. And I think Cottle's where it's likely to end up at this point.
I have a question regarding the concentration of sites.
Yeah.
I think I'd seen in one of your emails that in the future, you're going to push for something to prevent them from being so closely grouped together, because who knows if there'll be future sites.
Yeah.
What is your plan for that, or have you put anything into action yet?
Good question. There are a couple different thoughts. One was I do think that it would be best if in our city and ideally in our county, there was some spacing between the sites. I think having an equitable distribution, not being over concentrated, making it easier for neighborhoods to absorb these sites and help people reintegrate into the community. I think there are a lot of principles at play there that would argue for spreading them out. We don't yet have that policy, and I don't know if my colleagues would support it, but I would certainly support something that says, hey, no two sites should be within a half mile, for example. You all, some of you, depending on where you live, you may have 2 or 3 sites within a half mile if you include the safe parking site, right? So I think spacing is good. But there's another concept that I've argued for that I am very much pushing for, and staff is actually now committed to studying. We were able to get this in. Mayor Liccardo and I really pushed this in the last meeting on the topic a couple of weeks ago, is the idea of a buffer zone or a preference zone around each site. It could be anything from 500 feet to half a mile, where we do 2 things. We have a preference for moving the encampments and the homeless individuals within that zone into the EIH site. So they're the preferred, they get a preference. They are the first to be moved into that site to help them first, and then doing abatements within some distance of the site. Now that's controversial. There are plenty of people who don't like abatement, who say, hey, it's not really fair. You're not really solving the problem. You're just kind of moving somebody one neighborhood over. But I'll be very blunt. I think it's hard for the city to market this solution and to scale it up and to get community buy-in if you walk by an EIH site and a few feet away, there's a tent encampment and a bunch of trash. So I'm
Absolutely.
just from just a kind of just a selfish position of wanting to solve the problem. I want the community to buy in, which means we got to prove to people that these sites actually make our neighborhoods better. And so that's what I've been pushing for. I'll be really honest, there are a lot of very well-intended advocates, homeless advocates in the community who are not comfortable with that policy position. My sense from talking to the broader community is that 90% of people like the idea. So I'm going to keep championing it. I think there's a way to do it that's humane and ethical. I'm not trying to just push people around the community, but I really want these sites to be successful, and I want the community to buy in to the solutions that we can scale, so that we can I want to end street homelessness. I think that should be our goal. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Great. Thank you for pushing that. And I did call into one of the council meetings recently, I think when you were talking about that, and it seemed the city staff and some of the other members had no idea that there were RVs a block away from the Santa Teresa future site, and weren't even considering getting them to go to the site, which is very frustrating. So I'm glad someone's pushing for this.
Yeah, well, we will continue to, and we want to hear from you. I mean, Michele does a fantastic job along with Matthew Cavedo and my team of really being connected to the neighborhood so that we can surface these policy ideas and solutions that are really rooted in your experience. So please keep sending your feedback to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Matt, I attended the Vision Zero task force, and I don't know if you're familiar, you ever attended those task force meetings? We just had another person killed on the streets of San Jose.
Yeah.
And I know too much about it, but it's a common thing. Sgt Yates only has 6 officers for this area. He needs more officers. So I know that this is a point that we're going to push on you in the next 2 years to support that and build up more motorcycle officers. I believe we have 13 now. At one point we had 50.
That's right.
So
yeah.
maybe 25 is our number or whatever, but we need to help Sgt Yates out.
Yeah, I want to help Sgt Yates too. So yes, we used to have up to 50 officers in the traffic enforcement unit. After Great Recession and the pension battle, we dropped all the way down to about 6 or so or fewer. I mean, and we are slowly rebuilding, and I'll let Sgt Yates speak to that. But I would say this, this is obviously I'm here in my capacity as your council member, but when I ran for mayor, oh, you're getting my son in the screen here. There he is.
That's fine.
Hey, bud. When I ran for mayor, I was very clear that my top priorities are improve staffing levels in our police department and have the capacity to do faster response times, more community policing, address repeat offenders, try to partner more closely with the county on addressing repeat offenders and mental illness and addiction, that whole constellation of public safety issues, number one. Number two, reduce street homelessness and its impacts. So using things like these quick build EIH sites to get people off the streets, but making sure we manage them effectively. And then third, really just cleaning up the city in general, dealing with blight and beautification issues. So, those were really my top 3. If I could add a 4th, it would be fixing our planning, building, and code enforcement department so we can attract more investment in our city and small businesses and housing where it makes sense and doing code enforcement. So, those are really my priorities. And you can bet that my budget message in March is going to reflect those priorities.
Yeah, a big thing is the safety and security of the people. We had a person in our neighborhood get knocked down. It was sad, older gentleman. The first thing that, and I mean, people are fed up with this. I was in a case at O'Reilly's where the manager got beat up and watched it and it took off. I went after the guy. So, I mean, there's some issues that I need to get our police department helped at and more money, staffing. It's hard to get recruits and it's hard to keep people. And so, I mean, I need you to focus on this because people do not feel safe in our community.
I've heard, I know I've knocked on over 12,000 doors and I've heard it in every neighborhood in this city. I totally get it. Okay. So yeah, I think that the answer with a small tax base per capita, believe it or not, I know we're a wealthy community and we pay high taxes, but most of the jobs are in other cities. So we have a very low tax base per capita. We have about 30% lower revenue per resident than most of our neighboring cities, which means we have to focus on the basics. If we want to have high service levels for things like public safety and parks and roads and those core services, we're going to have to stay focused on those things. We can't do everything. Okay, friends, I'm happy to, if you've got another burning question, I'll stick around. Otherwise, I should probably jump and turn it back over to Sgt Yates, who I appreciate you letting me interrupt you there.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you showing up tonight.
You bet. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you around.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Back to Sgt Yates.
Well,
Yeah,
that was interesting, and I thank you for letting me be part of that because it was interesting to hear what some of his focus points are. So right now I want to just hear about your concerns and questions and answers and stuff that I can take back to the captain and the lieutenant. So go ahead, have at it.
I have one to start with. We have someone at the meeting here tonight that lives at the end of Burnell Way, which is the road that goes past the fire station down towards Monterey Road and dead ends there.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that road?
Yeah, I think I know.
Yeah, so there's a couple of problem spots at the end of that road. One is that people used to jump the fence over from Monterey side, go across the railroad tracks and come over to that fence and jump over it. And a lot of times it was some homeless people coming into the neighborhood that way. There's a plan afoot right now to maybe put a 2.5-foot extension to the height of that wall with a wooden fence. That's under discussion right now with Michele, Dexter, and the Department of Transportation. One of the persons at this meeting lives right down at the end of that road. Another thing that's happening down at the end of that road is a lot of some street, what do you call it, the round-arounds cars?
Okay, so like kind of like a sideshow, reckless driving kind of.
Sideshow right there at the end, yeah.
How often?
Maybe Chris, you can mention something. Chris is here today.
Hi.
Hi.
I talked to my neighbors tonight about that, and everyone is concerned about the sideshows. They said they tend to happen around 3 a.m. I didn't ask how often, but they all mentioned it when we were talking about things to bring up at this meeting.
Okay.
So around 3 o'clock, it's just there's a big open, you're familiar with the end of the road, and it's the perfect space to do it. There aren't any speed bumps.
Is it actual sideshows, or is it just people doing donuts?
They said sideshows, they said donuts. So
I'm thinking probably the latter, probably.
Yeah.
Just donuts and not a big crowd or anything like that, but just probably individual people being stupid. So
I think so, yeah. So I was just wondering if there, you said that you caught a couple over by the fire station?
yes, which is not too far from where you're talking about. And I'm happy to report that we got a seizure warrant for the vehicles and they were impounded. So, and that kind of goes directly towards your community and with the ability to capture them on these cameras that you have in your community.
Yeah, there is a camera right down at that, right at the end there, that maybe could have captured that, Chris. You know the one? Denny's?
Yeah, I'll text the owner. I don't know
Yeah.
if renters have that connection.
And I will reach out to my midnight counterpart and let the officers know that if they can do some more patrol checks around the 3 a.m. time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can you also please tell your the people that live over in that area or whomever, please, that could be a 911 call. We can address.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we have the officers, then we will respond to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do speed bumps deter sideshows? Are there any, or the donuts? Are there any suggestions for things we should consider?
I would probably say hold it.
We're losing you,
We're
Sergeant Yates.
losing you.
Audio, your audio.
Oh, how's it now?
There you go.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure why that's happening. So I don't know if speed bumps directly in the cul-de-sac would actually be feasible. So, but there's probably some kind of solution. I'm not sure. So, what else?
Why would it not be feasible?
You have to go through like the Department of Transportation, and I don't know. I can't really say that I've seen speed bumps inside of a cul-de-sac area, a dead end. Maybe if they might be able to put like a little island or something.
Yeah, it's not a traditional cul-de-sac. It's really literally a very, very, very wide dead end, like like a house lot size wide dead end. So it's straight. It's not like a circular cul-de-sac. So you could probably stretch put speed bumps across it. I mean, we could maybe pursue that, Chris, with the Department of Transportation, and we have some connections there, and we might be able to ask if that's something that's feasible. I don't think further up would do any good because they're not really speeding. They, speed bump further down would help drag racing, but not the donuts.
Correct.
So Greg, we might be able to talk to Jim Ortball about that.
Yeah, okay.
What else do we have for me?
Let's see.
I have a question regarding what I think are really loud fireworks. They go off on a regular basis, sometimes multiple times a night or a few times a week. And they're probably within a half-mile of Los Paseos neighborhood, but I don't know the exact location. And I've shared this with the non-emergency line and reported it on the 311 app. I don't know if there's anything else we can do, but I'll have the TV on and windows closed and hear it, and it'll startle me, and it'll be throughout the night. And I just don't know if there's anything else we can do.
Me or somebody.
I think people need to mute themselves if they're not talking.
I don't
Maybe
know what that
ask-
sound is. It sounds like a printer
Like someone's
printing or
printing, yeah.
a fax machine or something.
Uh,
Sergeant
to do
Yates,
it-
do you have any background noise there, like a printer or no?
no, ma'am.
No,
No.
I don't know where it's coming from, but it stops. It comes and goes.
And whenever it goes, whenever the sound happens, we have trouble hearing you for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
your fault. So go ahead and say what you just said.
I lost track. What were we talking about again?
Fireworks.
Oh, the fireworks. So, yes, the fireworks, those are a difficult thing because unless we actually are seeing them up, it's hard for us to actually determine where they're coming from and who's actually shooting them off. So that's kind of a hard one, unless we were able to narrow it down a lot more.
Is there anything the neighborhood can do to help? Like, I've posted it on Nextdoor in the past, and you'll see people comment, and they're all kind of the neighboring neighborhoods, but I don't know if there's any way to kind of narrow down on location based on who's hearing it.
No, you need to see it and kind of like somebody needs to take a picture. That's usually how it's reported.
Yeah, but they know
So-
this and do it when it's raining or dark. So it's very
Hey,
hard.
Julie, let me interject something here. There's a fella in Cottle Tulane Neighborhood Association that has been feverishly working on trying to get the San Jose illegal fireworks law enforcement to take place. His name is Steve Spivak.
Okay.
We have made some good progress on this. We've talked to this League of Cities, League of California Cities, League of California Cities, and we're making some progress on trying to get enforcement of the existing laws. And like Karen just said, it's very difficult to prosecute somebody if you don't have the exact good evidence for a prosecutor to take a look at. So Julie, I can talk to you further offline about what's going on there. And maybe I'll put it out to the neighborhood association, what's going on. That's what I
Sure.
should do.
And
Lynn,
it's
I'll
not
do
just
that.
like a little firework. These are the loudest
Yeah.
ones I think you can buy.
They're professional
Yeah,
fireworks.
M80s, I think they're called.
Yeah.
They're coming from out of state. They're coming from about 13 different shops over in Nevada.
Hmm.
That's where they come from. Before that, they come across from outside the US. They're
Hmm.
professional grade, like Karen said, big stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned,
right.
I saw Shot Spotter, but I believe the Shot Spotter technology is able to not pick up on the fireworks, and they actually are able to filter out fireworks. So I'm not too sure the Shot Spotter actually would help, but maybe there is some kind of technology like that. So
Mm-hmm.
anything else?
Yeah, Sergeant
Yeah,
Yates, I need some help with the Santa Teresa. In the morning when the kids are crossing the street, I got people come Morgan Hill going like a bat out of hell. Motorcycle officers out there a couple weeks ago, but they continue to do it. It's that first signal there at Avenida, what is it? Hispania?
I know what you're talking about, and I don't even think it's in the morning time. It's also in the evening. I've seen it once or twice before. It's like, I don't know if they need to pick up speed just to get over to the straightaway to Morgan Hill. I mean, what's going on?
They're being tracked at 70 miles an hour coming over that hill. The motorcycle officers caught some, but I just need a presence. We'll put a car there or something to slow these down.
There's
But the
been
poor crossing guards, they take their life in the hand going across just to get the kids over there. So
Yeah.
if we can get any officers, patrol officers there during
I-
that time, be appreciated.
I will definitely mention water parks, and If you were the one,
Peter, go ahead.
I think you were the one that was chimed up with Mayor Mahan about how we don't have enough motor officers. And I really wish we had more because that's their bread and butter. That's why we need them, is to enforce, speeders, and especially around schools and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm working with DOT to do some things too to slow it down. But these are just out and out people running red lights. I watched a kid almost get hit. She was going right in the green there. Just they're coming over from Morgan Hill too fast. So anything we can do by Martin Murphy there would be appreciated on first or second shift.
I will, as promised, I will pass this along to my lieutenant and my captain and see what we can do. And hopefully they will have the ability to get some motor units out there, or like you said, even maybe plant some morning car patrol.
Yeah,
officers.
a morning car. We'll just put a car there, nobody in it. We got enough. We got enough in sitting there. The mechanics can't fix them over in the garage there. So let's just plant one there, and that's
Put
it.
a dummy in it so they think that
Yeah.
there's somebody.
I mean, it slows everybody down.
I have a funny story about that. In San Mateo, they put a car out like that and a dummy in it. And then I guess a citizen became irate because what is the hell? Why is that officer just sleeping there all day?
You can't win for losing.
Yeah. But no, it's actually a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever we could do. I'm going to try to work with this Vision Zero to get more. They're going to do a marketing campaign. But without an officer, if they're going 70 miles an hour through that signal, they're just going too fast. And I know they're trying to get to work, but I feel sorry for the kids. I watched one girl almost get killed.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and that's ridiculous.
Yes, sir. I completely agree with you.
There's been some police officers on motorcycles out there the last several days nailing people. It's on next door. So you're making some progress there.
Good.
Like to ask, Chris has a question regarding on Burnell Way again, some homeless on the other side of the wall there.
Okay.
Is that something that you can deal with or check it out? Maybe Chris, you can give a little bit more input on that.
Well, we're talking about possibly raising the height of the wall at the dead end because people jump the wall. But one of my concerns is if we raise the height and there's less traffic going over, will that encourage a homeless encampment? Will that make it more inviting for people to be there? And we were
On this side of the wall you're concerned about, or on the other side of the wall?
On the other side, because I live right here. There have been a couple times where in the last year, we had homeless people set up on the other side of the wall. And I called the police and the police came out and they said, well, it's not private property. So we can't do anything about it. And I'm just wondering if is that still true? Is that correct?
Well, from what we understood years ago about maintenance of the wall and stuff, all of the homeowners along there, you actually own like 9 to 16 feet on the other side of the wall. So if they're actually in that area, technically
That's what I was told by the city, but I don't have the property. I didn't have the property lines like what is it called? A plot
map
or anything. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't have it on me to prove it. And so they were saying, unless I could prove that was my property, because it's weird because Union Pacific is supposed to Standard Pacific is supposed to maintain the trees. So it's a weird kind of property situation. But when I first moved in 10 years ago, I called the city and asked where the property line was, and they told me it was behind there. But I don't have.
It's not the actual fence line. It's like 9 to 16 feet on the other side, and then Union Pacific takes care of everything beyond that because that's their property.
Would a police officer was requested to come out there? Would anybody be able to show some kind of maps or anything like that?
I can call the city and try to. I guess I would call the city and try to get that.
You might be able to just look on the website and find it, like a city zoning map.
Oh.
You should be able to find
It's
your
usually
property
public
plot.
information.
Property plot line.
Or it might be the county,
Yeah, usually
because
the
deeds, et
the
cetera,
assess-
are the county.
yeah, the assessor's office should be able to tell you where property lines are. So if you call the county assessor's office,
If
and
you
then
do,
and then whatever you can get from there, if it's not clear, then we can work with the probably the planning department.
okay.
So
If- I think the bigger problem is the abatement policy that San Jose has right now is kind of a hands-off, unless there's really some like major crime problems related to an encampment, or it's just gotten so what do you call it, toxic, I mean, it's just so it's not inhabitable because of all the garbage and stuff like that. And so unless that's the situation, they often just will not abate a camp.
I agree with that. But if it is actually on somebody's property, well, then
Yeah.
that's kind of a trespassing. And then you would put up signs, say no trespassing and stuff like that, and then it could be enforced. So,
yeah.
So Sergeant, I got Lieutenant Brett's email, which he doesn't mind putting out there. So if people, I'm gonna put it in the chat. It's there for people to send him emails. The man responds. So does the captain. So, I don't want to dump your email on there, but I think that, if you have an issue, send it to the lieutenants, one of the lieutenants, Bowie or Brent. I don't know who else is out there, but they usually have the time to look at them, and we'll get back to you in 24 hours. So I'm really happy with the response we get.
I don't mind putting my email out there. It's easier with my badge, 3824@sanjoseca.gov. But I'll be honest with you, if you are able to contact the lieutenant or the captain, well, that's a little bit higher.
They have more time. Let's say you're out there on the streets, 6 officers plus you is 7 for what, a 25-mile square thing. You got to understand, people, these guys are busy.
Right.
And so one shooting, one thing like that ties a lot of people up. So be aware.
If we go to one priority call, we're going to send 2 or 3 or 4 officers, So, yeah, it doesn't take. Anything else?
I have a quick question. Do you know anything about the helicopters that often buzz our neighborhood? I'm sure they're doing something, but I'm just curious what it is or how we find out, because I'm assuming we're not paying for an expensive helicopter for a I guess a safe reason.
So our helicopter flies, I'm not quite sure what days of the week. I want to say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe even Sunday. And then they fly from up until about midnight or 1 o'clock. They will go, and they're flying about, and they'll go all over the city. And I forget, today they were going over to kind of I think somebody was stealing some packages over by Palm Valley, over by the hospital over there. So they were zooming over there, and then all of a sudden, one of our officers came across a stolen vehicle at the flea market. So they diverted, and quite frankly, probably diverted right over your neighborhood.
Are those routine flights they do, and then they kind of help assist anything that's going on?
Correct. And you know what? There'll be times where we make officer make a car stop, and they'll be buzzing overhead just to be like a fill, just have eyes in the sky. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So you might be hearing the helicopter, but they're not doing anything most of the time. They're trying to help out and be as productive as possible. And I got to be with you, when we do need them, like setting up perimeters on a house where somebody, some kind of major event or something, they are very instrumental on helping us place officers where they need to be placed.
Yeah, whenever I hear them, I just think something bad is happening. So that's actually more helpful to know that it's a routine thing and they're assisting as needed. So
yeah,
the past couple of years, we've had the people with guns in the back of houses and sheds, and they're over there, and you want them there. So that's happened in our neighborhood.
I'm just hoping it's not happening several times a week. So
yeah,
that's how much we hear.
If they need them, they'll use them.
And you know what? We also have a lot more drones on our fleet. I want to say within the last 6 months, and the drones have been instrumental when our Air 3 is not up. So it's really great.
Okay, thank you.
Can I
Thank
ask-
you, thank you, Sergeant Yates, for being here tonight.
You betcha. And thanks again for helping me get onto this Zoom. This was my first Zoom meeting. I appreciate that. And it was a pleasure being here with you all.
Thank
So
you very
give
much.
badge number again,
you.
so they have it for the email if you wanted to do that, please.
Yes, it's 3824.
At
At-
sanjosecal.gov, right?
sanjoseca.gov. Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thank you,
Not-
folks.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
appreciate you.
much.
All right. Bye.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
That was sanjoseca.gov, not sanjosecal.gov, everybody.
Or CA,
CA.
okay.
I put it in the chat. Did I do it right?
Yeah,
SanJoseCA.gov. Okay.
Right.
You want me to share the screen again? Let's see
Yes,
what's
I think it's
next.
time for Michele, right?
Yep.
Oh, no, Matt did his, and you can ask me any questions you want, but
Okay.
Matt was
I'd like to
the,
introduce
yeah,
you
so
first.
he-
I brought Matt so that you
Can I-
have some real good information, you know?
Can I introduce you, Michele? Michele
Yes,
is,
and I-
go ahead.
I can tell you a couple things, but go ahead and introduce me first.
I'd like, Michele is a District 10 Council Office, very helpful to the Los Paseos Neighborhood Association. She's helped us with dumpster days. We all appreciate your hard work, Michele, and appreciate you being here tonight. She's always very helpful from the District 10 Council Office. And you can give your title, you would. Go ahead.
and the money she gives us.
Herb's all about the money.
Oh.
What can I do for you lately, Herb?
Well, you've done a lot, and I want to thank you for National Night Out to give us some extra funding, and for the San Jose Neighborhood CERT. You've been really supportive of our community, and I mean, you know, Los Paseos, Neighborhood Association owes you a lot. Hopefully, you're there for a little
Well,
longer.
You guys make it easy to support
Mhm.
you because you're very active and engaged, and that is
And
wonderful.
she knows if she doesn't, we're gonna be.
No,
we're
More
it's
gonna be
dumpster
talking about
days
it.
for you.
It's great. I love having active neighborhood associations. I don't care how much you call me and so forth, because we get stuff done. There's only, as the council member said, there's only 5 or 6 of us in the office. And there's 100,000 of you, right? So if the neighborhood associations don't band together and, you know, work on things themselves, it's difficult to help. So we really appreciate your organization and how hard you guys work to take care of your own neighborhood. It's fantastic. So I love working with you guys. I can tell you that we have the District 10, so Christmas in the Park, you know, Christmas in the Park is going on. It always happens every year after Thanksgiving. And the stage has been offered to each council district to program for one night throughout the course of the event. And our night is the 15th. So we've partnered with Victory Outreach Church to put together a program because we didn't have the bandwidth to do a lot of programming. So worked with them and they have come up with a program so the 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. is District 10 night. So come on out and we will be there. We'll have our table and tent. And, you know, Christmas in the Park is always good for hot chocolate and treats. And so
Snowman,
maybe we'll have some treats too. We should have some treats too. We'll have something. It should be a nice evening. Hopefully it won't rain. Haven't looked at the weather, but hopefully it'll be okay. That is everything that's like the last event going on.
What's
that
the
I'm
time
aware
of it again?
6 to 8 p.m.
Okay. Thank you.
And did you put out some sort of a flyer or brochure on that one, Michele?
It should have been in the last newsletter. It'll be in
Okay,
this next newsletter. And I think they just created a graphic to post on Nextdoor, but you know, which of course we would have to send to you to get posted on Nextdoor. We are making some headway on that, by the way. Speaking of that, redistricting happened in February. Nextdoor still has the wrong maps. They have the old D10, D2 maps up. So our office is not able to post into your Nextdoor group. So we depend on you and Isaac and the STFNA leads. if the three of you, we send everything to the three of you and hope that you push it out to next door for us, because we have no way to communicate with the whole Santa Teresa area. So we appreciate you doing that. But that we are making some headway. My person on our team who does the operations, she's been working with, we found the right person finally in next door. And we found the right person finally in city staff IT department, and we've connected the two of them. That has taken quite a bit of effort. And so the two of them are talking, and we're hopeful. Maybe we'll get it fixed before the end of the year. Wouldn't that be lovely? So stay tuned on that. Is there anything else that you want
So
to
what
know?
about January? Are we gonna, you're gonna probably still be there to get us transitioned and, budgeting and stuff that we need to do in January? Is there something we can help you do to, get this transition going or keep our budget, cycle intact?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, because there will be a new council member in there by the end of January. So even if it slides into February a little bit, nothing happens really until when the mayor comes out with the March budget message. That kind of kicks things off. So it's March, April, May, is when so you'll have a council member in there to advocate to. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. They did talk about that in the meeting, and that was a big issue for them, was having someone there for the budget cycle. So it's just anything that you can do to prepare ahead of time, like a list or things that you think should be done. Any efforts you have of looking in the actual budget. As you know, the council member, mayor-elect Mahan, he's really going to focus on, core services and trying to get things like police officers and, our infrastructure and enforcement is kind of where he's at. So, and those are my words, but that's how I interpret his words. And so, wherever you think there's issues you think should be better funded. And if you have any insight into the budget and look at those kinds of things to see what things you'd be willing to move money from to fund those things.
Well, we need to understand the budget because there's so much fluff in this budget. The mayor has a certain amount, right, of his money, then each district gets money. So understanding that might be a good thing that we could do, to understand it. Where's all the money going?
So you guys did for the Calpine project, you guys kind of went through a community budgeting process, did you not?
Yeah, but that was separate money.
And so you didn't really learn much about how the budget works and how things.
Well, it was our money to spend, and we had to go through and do the participatory budget stuff.
I mean, we
Okay.
learned how to do a budget and how to figure out how to fight over what gets. We learned
Right.
that really
Right, but you
well.
didn't- Okay.
And they don't do those anymore either.
Yeah, after
What if it-
ours, after that CF, they decided it wasn't such a good idea anymore.
That might be something really, someone to have for your next speaker. When is your next meeting? You only meet quarterly, right? So December.
March.
Oh, the
March.
budget,
Oh,
the
not till
budget process.
March?
Yeah.
Maybe you can have a special meeting, maybe just even for the board or for whoever was interested, and get someone from the budget office to come and explain the budget to you. And in a way, because they do have a really good presentation for that. And they're good at explaining. And if you just focus on that and then do a Q&A, you'll learn a lot and it will shorten your learning curve. And you can go on, the budgets are all on the budget office website. So if you go
Michele,
to San
could
Jose.
you- I was wondering if you could email me the link to the email of the person you think might be able to help us, and I'll call him or talk with him, or else tell us how to get to it.
Yes, the budget office, let's see, if you hover over your government and you go to departments and offices and click on budget, You'll see you'll have the contact us. Here, let me put it in the copy. I'll put it in the chat for you. So that will go to the budget office website, and you'll see on the left-hand side, there's the contact. So Jim Shannon is the budget director. So you can, and you know, everyone in the city is first name dot last name. So it would be Jim.Shannon. You could send him an email and say, you know, we would like to have someone come and do a presentation on the budget, and he'll find somebody to do that.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that. Because the process is, the city does, well, all government does fund accounting, right? So it's not like, I had a real hard time with this coming from business when I came, is that, you know, income, expenses, your basic, you know, balance sheet, incomes, you know, I understand finance, but this is all fund accounting. So like the airport is all of the income from the airport goes into one fund, and all the expenses come out of another fund, but it's all within the airport, doesn't come out of the general fund at all. Right. So it's its own self-funding kind of thing. Whereas a lot of your park, like the parking fees that you pay when you go to a park, general fund. Doesn't go to pay for parks, goes to the general fund. So it could be used for whatever.
So like the SAP grant is given, you know, 25,000 to each district. That's in some.
That's different. That doesn't go into the general budget, right? It's, yeah, it comes, it's, I guess you could kind of say it's its own fund, right? So that is whoever has naming rights for the arena downtown, which happens to right now be SAP. The part of the contract is they must give each council member, not the mayor, unfortunately, but only the council members, $25,000 a year that they can use at their discretion for grants for the following three things: education, recreation, and culture. Education, recreation, and culture. So, you know, we get a lot of requests for sponsoring, you know, the Italian festival, or we gave some of it to the 4th of July festival. Education is broad. Like we gave a grant to the new San Jose CERT organization that Herb's a part of, to educate people on the importance and process of emergency preparedness. So it doesn't necessarily mean like K through 12 education, right? We use it for educating people, especially on city functions like that, right? So that's one thing, but funding, but that's just one little thing. But so you can see it's kind of fund accounting, and so it's a little bit different. When you look at the budget, it seems it's challenging to kind of figure out how the funds work.
And the approval cycles on it. Who approves your budget?
Yeah.
And I found that out with the CERT money we went after that you helped us do. The fire department, the police department all have, we can say yay or nay on it too.
Yeah. So the process for the budget cycle, and do you know what that is? Would you like me to explain what will happen starting in March with the budget message?
Yeah, do that for them.
So the first thing that starts the budget process is the mayor comes out with his March budget message. And if you're on that budget website page, you'll see because that's the budget page is the city manager's budget office, whereas the mayor's is separate, and they do have the little section there for all the mayor's stuff. So the mayor puts out his March budget message, and that is signaling to everyone, these are my priorities. Here's where I want to put funding. I want to put money to these things because these are what's important to the residents. This is what will make us a better city, whatever. Not necessarily dollar amounts, but signaling what his priorities are. The next thing that happens is the city manager comes back with a whole number of documents called MBAs, manager's budget addendums. And the manager will say, okay, we need to put, we suggest we put money here. We suggest we put money there. Each one of these is a different number and a different document, I should say, and they're numbered. And so the city manager will come up with a whole bunch of those. This is where we think we should put money. And then the council members get to submit what are called budget documents, BDs and MBAs. So BDs, budget documents. The council members will submit and say, my district needs XYZ. We need to build a wall at the end of Burnell. Give us the money. Please put this in the budget, Mr. Mayor. Those sorts of things, or we think, but the council member has to identify a funding source for that. You can't just say put money to this. They have to say, and we think you should use the money from this fund. Then the mayor's office collects all those documents from the city manager, collects all those documents from the council members, and the sausage making begins. And they figure it all out, and they analyze and what's in line with the mayor's priorities and goals. And that's a big process, resulting in the mayor's June budget message. June budget message is, I want X dollars to this, I want X dollars to that. I want to take these 3 or 4 or 5 city managers budget addendum or MBAs. I want to take these council budget documents. Some of them are the same, so they're going to be grouped together. And that's his June budget message. And that's what goes to council to be voted on to approve. They talk about it in council. Yeah, we agree with this, but maybe we think it should be less or more or whatever. They have conversations and the budget gets approved. That's the process. So you can start early by sending emails to the mayor, telling him what's important to you. I don't know if each mayor, there's always some community component. Each mayor has done it differently. Mayor Reed and prior, they had one community meeting per district. So 10 community meetings, right? By the time Mayor Liccardo came around, he's like, these aren't very well attended anymore. There's less and less people at each one. I'm just going to do 4 around the city and people can come to us. So he did 4 around, the 4 quadrants of the city, and you had to drive and go further to that. But he had them at least. So there's always a community component throughout the process where you can speak up and say, we really want more funding for this. We really want more funding for that. Yes, we're okay with cutting this and shortening that. We'd like you to cut here, those sorts of things. Yes, Karen.
I felt I did used to attend those, and they were very interesting, but I think I remember attending one of them, and I thought it was to get input, but all the decisions had already been made. So it was kind of like, it was more of just giving us the information that this is what's going to be in the budget. There really wasn't much opportunity for us to really have any input.
It's so important to understand the budget, to dig into the budget and understand it, because they always come back, and whenever you ask for something, they always come back and say, oh, we might have to cut library hours. We might have to cut police, all the things that are actually important to you. That's what they tell you they're going to cut. So you got to get into the budget so that you can find out what other things in there are maybe not so important to you that you could suggest cutting. Or maybe not cutting, but taking a pause on. Maybe we should pause spending on this year and reconsider it next year.
But stuff like street paving and that kind of stuff is ongoing with DOT. They put their recommendations in, that kind of stuff.
That's, again, because it's fund accounting, right? Because it's fund accounting, that is all funded through the Measure T dollars. So we all voted for Measure T. Measure T came in. The money for paving, all the paving that's happening is being paid for through the Measure T dollars, not coming out of. So that's already set in stone, right? That's not something that it's mostly general fund kind of things that are fungible. We have you know, some outgoing council members that have over the last couple years been successful at getting lots of money into the budget for parties and events, which are fun and important and great, but maybe not the most important thing we should be spending money on right now when we have such limited dollars and such high needs. So you have to kind of look and pay attention. And the first step would be having that training, getting some information from the budget office would help a lot.
So the July 4th event you did, that was taken out as a major event in the budget, or was that taken out of?
In all the years past, we have not had to use the only city money we used in the past was a little bit of SAP grant funds from District 10 and the cultural affairs festival grants, which is paid for by the TOT dollars, which is the hotel taxes. Whenever someone stays in our hotels, they pay extra hotel taxes. There's a portion of that goes into what is called TOT, and I forget what TOT stands for, but we just call it TOT
visitors.
And so it's the hotel taxes, and so that money, there's a portion of that money that goes to festival grants.
Okay.
And so we applied for that. This past year, because we had such a shortened time, because we didn't find out that we could even have it until almost January. And so we had no money to start with. There was nothing left from the previous years. So we did take advantage of, again, one of the council members was successful, or a couple of the council members were successful at getting the mayor to put in the budget $44,000 for parties called Abierto festivals. And so each council district got $44,000 for festivals. And we did use that money for 4th of July. So that helped because we had such a shortened fundraising cycle.
Well, that was more budget. You needed more to do that. You had 30,000 people there.
Oh, we still had to raise a whole bunch of money for that. But that helped a lot because I had nothing to start with. And so it was good. We used it.
Yeah, you don't know where all this funding's coming from. You brought all this, the hotel tax, SAP. Everybody needs to understand where money is coming out of and how's it being used, I think is key for us to understand. And hopefully the budget office could,
yeah,
give us some understanding.
We're used to having, everyone understands multiple revenue streams, right? But in our world, in business, all those revenue streams come down to a bottom line, and that's your whole revenue. Doesn't work that way in fund accounting. Each of those revenue streams has rules about how it can be spent. And so you have to spend it in the way that fund, whatever those rules are.
It's like I work for a nonprofit and we have restricted funds, grants, it's all about the restricted funding and the unrestricted funding, and always trying to get more unrestricted funding.
Right.
I know that in the participatory budgeting process, trying to get some things for the parks. I had to learn a lot, which probably I don't remember that much of because it was a while ago. The capital budgets are very different from the operating budgets, and so even within the park there were at least 4 distinct funding buckets, and you couldn't cross lines.
Correct. That's correct. Very, very much, a lot of rules around everything. And yes, you're right. The capital binder is about this big, and the operating binder is a whole separate binder that big. So it's a lot, but they are separate, capital versus, and so, that's why it's important to understand. Another reason it's important to understand these things is because when something comes to the ballot, like when they say we want to have a park bond, those park bonds, we all get excited. Yes, our parks are in such bad shape. We need to have, we need to fix them up. The park bonds that we pass can only be used to build new things, not maintenance. If they put something on the ballot that is a property tax only for parks, that can be used for maintenance. So when you understand how the money works, you can make better decisions at the voting box, right? And so the staff is learning to maybe not do bonds anymore because we just don't need to build more new stuff. We need to figure out how to get more money into our maintenance dollars, right? We need more maintenance dollars. And so they're trying to figure out some way to do that because they don't want to go out with a new bond because they don't want to build any more things because they can't maintain what they have. So,
That's why I encourage people to go help with the park, work with the parks people to do things, because get involved. Then they support us. They put new GG in, and we didn't even know, and I know that's a few $1,000 project with the people doing it, probably more. So by working with them, partnership with them, we can get a lot more out of the city and, the budgets like parks.
Yeah. The Parks Department has really, prior to us coming into office, actually it started with Pierluigi Oliverio in District 6 when he was the council member. He did something radical and he got a measure on the ballot that forced the Parks Department to work with a volunteer group to maintain the Rose Garden downtown. And it was big, dramatic. Best thing ever. And so that really set in motion this shift in culture in the Parks Department to embrace the volunteer and to learn to work with volunteers, and that we need the volunteers. So now that Matt Keno has left the Parks Department, is in Public Works now, he's over the animal shelter, and he can bring that culture out. And so that culture is kind of spreading out now to other departments where you have to work with volunteers and embrace the volunteers, and we all have to do this together. And because there's still some
grew up in our neighborhood. He grew up and played at that Los Paseos. So when I talked to Matt, okay, dude, we'll take care of us, But good guy.
Yeah. So it's any other questions I can answer? I can tell you lots of stuff. I just don't know what you want to know.
It's very interesting. I tell you, I didn't know where all the budget funding. Now I'm gonna go tap some of it.
Yeah, Michelle, I'm Petrak. I have a question. Do you have any idea when they're gonna pave Burnell?
When they're gonna pave Burnell?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can try and find the link to the paving program so that you can look it up.
Okay,
it'll tell you all the streets.
Yeah, if you give that information to Greg, he'll get it back to me.
Okay, I won't be able to find it quick enough for the meeting, but I'll get that.
I don't
to Greg.
expect you to.
Okay.
Greg, you still have the guy that you talked to, DOT, on this? Greg has a guy.
On which guy? For what?
The paving guy? You were talking the coordinator for paving, or?
Yeah.
So
it wasn't
they
related
had a
to this
question.
question, I don't believe. I'm sorry, I was writing something to somebody and I couldn't answer.
That's okay. He was asking. Yeah, he was asking for when, and so when I send you the link, it's the link to the it shows you when all these streets in this color are being paved in 2022. All this color are being paved in 2023, etc. So
I've seen that link before.
I think if I remember correctly, I think your area is going to be 2023. Might be 2024, but I think it's 2023. But it's one of those two. It was on the list in one of those colors for either 23 or 24.
For the street paving?
For Burnell, the area down there around you.
Yeah, the Burnell. Yeah,
because you guys are done, so you're black.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done.
But there's a red and a blue, and one's 23, one's 24.
And there was a question about speed bumps in there on our chat. Alan kind of answered it. The fire department has control over that, but there has been talk about more speed bumps in our area.
Yeah, the fire department, they really don't like speed bumps. I really, encourage you to ask for enforcement. Enforcement is the best thing. More traffic officers. More
Yeah, we
traffic
don't have,
officers.
yeah, we have
can
enough
get.
now. So the speed bumps, they did make them smaller than they were before. So I think that's the
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, the fire department's not happy with them. So they'll
Yeah,
go around sometimes.
And there's this, you guys have to drive, you guys got to take the trip across town and come over to District 9 and go down Hillsdale.
Oh, yeah.
And have you been down Hillsdale lately?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the solution for traffic calming.
Yeah.
And
that's horrible.
And so when you complain about traffic and speeding and all, I think it's horrible. So enforcement is the answer. More police officers doing their job, giving out tickets is what has always slowed down traffic.
So what happened on Hillsdale? What's going on? I don't.
Well, so the traffic calming solution from DOT, because there's no enforcement, because there's no, speed traps and police officers around, people just speed everywhere. I mean, it's a complaint everywhere, speeding,
Right.
These donuts and all this stuff. And so the Department of Transportation, trying to come up with solutions, has developed this program, which is not bad. It's what they call quick build. It's another quick build thing that they can do instead of coming out and putting something permanent, like, oh, we think we should put a roundabout here. Well, you pay all the money to pour this concrete and make this roundabout, and then you realize, oh, it's in the wrong place, or it's, not solving the problem because, it should have been done differently for some reason. It's too late, right? It's permanent. It's expensive. So they've come up with this concept of quick build, where they just, if you go downtown, you see all those plastic, colored
okay.
plastic cones.
I know what now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because
Yes.
I'm right at
So-
the edge of Hillsdale, my work. And yes, when I get off of Newberry and I try to get onto Hillsdale, there's
Yes.
all these things, and you're
all
like,
these plastic cones, and they're different
Yes.
colors. This
Mhm.
color is for
the
that,
green
and that color is
stripes.
for
and- yeah,
this. and-
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, and so it's to someone like me who's visual, it's like chaos.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very difficult to find your lane, and so.
And it also took it from 3 lanes to 2 lanes, which just totally messes up traffic. You can't make a
I
left
didn't realize
turn
that.
anywhere now. It's ridiculous. I grew up
Oh,
right
right.
there.
It took the center lane out.
Yep, there's no
Yes.
center lane anymore.
Terrible.
So
Terrible.
if you live on that street, if you're going in the wrong direction, you can't turn into your driveway. You have to go down the street and make a U-turn and come back. And then if your driveway is in between those little posts, you have to figure out how to get your car in between the posts. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So that's the kind of stuff that they're, it's a lot cheaper for us all to say, this is not working, rip it out, right? Because they didn't spend that much money to put it in, than if they had just come along and spent a whole lot of money putting actual hardscape, stuff in there. So on one hand, it's really good. It's quick, it's fast. You can get it in there fast. It's movable, changeable. You can wait and see how it goes and alter it before, the idea is that when you decide what's working and what you want to keep, then you can go back and do the permanent whatever, right? Do the pieces that you want permanently, spend the money once. So it's a good concept, good theory, good, intentions.
But has implications.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Michelle. Enforcement is the key, because even if you put a slower speed limit sign down, people still going to speed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So the Vision Zero task force that Pam Foley is running, her and Perales, I attended the meeting, and they're coming up with marketing campaigns to slow people down, awareness, that type of stuff. So I'd encourage you, in March they have that. We'll get that out to people to join. I mean, there's maybe a dozen people, well, some are on Zoom too, But yeah, if you're interested in changing the city and the way they do it, let's push Pam Foley in that task force. Everybody's in there, police, DOT, to make some changes. Because I'm tired of, kids and people getting ran over,
Yeah.
and my daughter has to go clean it up or go investigate it. So, the stories you hear, I wouldn't want anybody to hear them. It is sad what's going on in our city with 31 deaths now. And some of them are the people's fault. Some are the driver's fault. So, but it's, you need to get involved. You have to find out what they're doing. So we'll send out that Vision Zero Task Force meeting in March to people if you're interested.
I see a couple of interesting questions in the chat. Let's see. Smita asked, do you know what they're doing right now on Bernal just coming down from the Monterey overpass?
Sorry, I just have noticed that the
Where is
last few
that?
nights they're like digging up the road. Is it just more PG&E work, if you're coming from where the freeways are over Monterey and coming down the slope
Towards our neighborhood?
towards the fire station where the Jack in the Box is that what it is?
I've never seen anything.
Oh, yeah.
They've been digging it up. They've closed off the right lanes and it's getting dug up.
Anybody know anything?
I do not.
Okay, Peter had an interesting question about commercial tenants. Are there any notable commercial tenants that that are moving into our district that you're aware of? I mean, that's kind of a broad question.
Yeah, I am not aware of, I don't know what, I know that, because we talk about the EIH site and that skinny parcel, the Great Oaks parcel, they were saying it has become unviable because there's going to be a battery. They've leased it to a battery storage, power storage battery company of some sort.
Yeah, and we're not sure what that has to do with. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one notable, I don't know if it's a notable tenant, but it's a notable, because it may not be a new tenant, but they're doing the data center up on San Ignacio and Santa Teresa.
Right.
And that building's coming along it's a lot bigger than I expected it to be. And then there's also some preliminary work, I think, on the hospital, which is going to be on the catty corner on the same lot. I mean, the same parcel of land, but it's going to be more at the other side of Santa Teresa and San Ignacio.
So this is the El Camino new
So
hospital?
El Camino,
Yeah.
El Camino, are they actually starting to build something there now?
I felt like they were doing some preliminary work months ago and then they stopped. So I don't really know but it was on the opposite corner from where the building's going in now, unless I can't imagine it would be related to that because it's.
I think some crew is
It's a different
working there and
owner.
they're using it as a storage area. What I saw people moving stuff in and out for something.
Yeah, but that data center's coming along.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's on the
They're
back
making
half of
money.
that parcel, right? That's on the back half of the parcel?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a different property owner that
Yeah.
owns that parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Michelle, I think somebody asked, can we get updates from Matt about mayor's things? Is he, Matthew going to have something where he's going to communicate with the public?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd like to see a better way because Sam, didn't really have anything or know that, hey, let's get personal with issues and stuff and what's going on in the mayor's office. I'm hoping when Matt takes over, we see a little bit of more clarity and understanding of what's going on. I think it's a good comment. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah,
did he say he's going to continue the chat with Matt in some form?
He
Matt,
hasn't
or-
said yet. I would imagine he'll do something, but he hasn't said, but there were people in the chat with Matt that happened
Yes.
earlier today that were saying, please continue doing this because
Yes.
it's very helpful. And also his Wednesday wrap-ups, the top 3 things, he always says, this is what happened. These are the top 3 important things that happened in the council meeting yesterday. And he does a video, he
Okay.
pushes out to social media. People like that a lot too.
I don't think I've seen one of those. Does he email it or just social media?
Just social media.
Okay.
So he puts out, he does on Mondays. I don't know how faithful he is on Monday. He tries to be every Monday. Monday is here's what's coming tomorrow on the council meeting in case you want to call in. These are the top 3. It's not the whole agenda. It's just these are the top 3 things that we think might be important to you. And then on Wednesday is a wrap up of, these are the things top 3 things we think you might find important that we voted on yesterday.
So the next 2 years are going to be interesting. So I think the community needs to get involved. So the other council people know what we need as communities. That's one big thing I want to work with San Jose Neighborhood CERT is to make the community go up to their council person and say what they need. So we need to strengthen the neighborhood associations. Greg's going to be working on that this next year and really having a base people that want change in the city.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, you guys,
There's,
it's 8:50.
Well,
so
there's one more
it's-
question. Karen, hold on. There's one more question that Michael had asked
Oh,
early on
sorry.
in the meeting. Michael Van Dam asked early on in the meeting. It has to do with the Paseo signposts that were shown last meeting. And I'd like to give an update on that. All the signposts have been built. You might have seen them. There has been one installed in Winstead Court. And the reason the other ones have not been installed is because the brackets that were put in by the city have round holes in them for the nuts and bolts. And they're easily removed if someone just took a wrench over there and did it. So I'm working with another fella right now to try to go square up the holes so that when we put a carriage bolt in there and a nut that is not removable, we'll be able to put them and install them so they'll be there kind of like permanently. So Michael, the posts are done. I'd love to show them to you in person over at my house. And I'm working with a fella. I'll be talking to you. I'll give you a call after the meeting. Maybe you can help me figure out how to make this whole square also. You still there, Mike?
I see Mike. He's on mute. This is
so-
the old round peg in a square
Oh,
hole.
okay. Susan Fisher also has her hand up.
Okay, Mike, I won't call you, but you got an update. I'll let you know later.
Susan, go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. A small point, but since you were talking about signs, I'm wondering who is responsible for removing all the campaign signs now that the campaign is
I've
over?
been wondering that too. There's so many
It's like-
around.
Yes, it's like a little piece of urban blight. Every day I come out of my house and within 3 feet are 3 or 4 Sylvia Arena signs. And I think I haven't seen any Matmain signs as I drive around, but Sylvia's signs are on Santa Teresa all the way down.
I noticed that
in
too.
the South County.
We can contact their campaign. The campaign is ultimately responsible for removing them. However, it's hard for them to control because unless they just have somebody drive around because they didn't replace all of the signs, individuals place the signs. But I have noticed a lot of the Sylvia Arena signs. So I was thinking, well, maybe we should just call their campaign office and just tell them, hey, can you make a sweep of our area?
Because it just looks so awful.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, I want those signs. So if you guys grab them, I'll give you a quarter piece for them. Because I
They
want to
aren't
use them
good-
No,
they're
I'm going to reuse them for the CERT community for disaster stuff. So if you guys grab them, no, I want to reuse them. So grab them for me and I'll pay you.
Herb, they're not the same kind of signs. I don't think you realize they are quite different and they are much harder to use. And I'll talk to you about it. They're cheaper signs and they're not as easily used.
So they're not the metal stake ones that go
No,
on the
the
ground?
stakes are the same. It's just
Okay.
that it's a bag over it. It's not
Oh.
the soft.
But it's not the
sign.
stakes aren't the same because normally the signs have this and then a thing in the middle. Her signs go like this and they're just a
Oh.
big
Yeah, they're
U
not-
and
they
you
aren't
have to
the H
slide.
signs.
Yeah, you have to slide something over it and they're not the same. But I
Yeah,
have a lot.
I mean, I need something in emergencies that I can put stuff on in different areas, so I can put a cover over it. So I'm looking
think
to put those.
I think the Kevin Jensen and Johnny Camus signs are the H.
Okay,
H
people grab them
signs.
for me.
Susan, I wanted to ask, and some of the other people that are on here, what part do you live in? What area are you in?
I actually live in the townhouses that are across the street from you folks in Los Paseos.
Oh, okay,
that
yeah.
border Chantilly.
Yes, yes. We always send a notice out to, we call them the 5 neighborhoods, which were participated in the participatory budget. That's kind of how we started when we started this neighborhood association. And so we always invite, now we invite the 4 because Metcalf is now in District 2. And so it would be a little harder for us to incorporate them. So yeah, you're always welcome. I just was curious. And what about,
And I appreciate that. I really enjoy learning what's going on in the community and all of the challenges that you folks face. I mean, you're right across the street from me.
yes.
And I also enjoy driving around your neighborhoods at Halloween and Christmas and seeing all the effort you put into making it a real neighborhood with your beautiful decorations.
Oh, that's nice. And Becky, you said you're on Avenida España. Julie, where are you? Is Julie still there?
I'm
Yeah,
here,
she's-
but I didn't hear the question.
Where are you where are you in the neighborhood or in the area?
Via Barranca.
Via Barranca. Okay. I don't know where that is. Do you guys know where that is? You guys
That's
know.
the side near Lucky's and the HOA building, kind of that corner of the neighborhood.
Okay. Okay. And then Fam Tran, where are you?
Is at the end of Bernal.
Oh, he's one of the ones at the end of Bernal by Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think we know where everybody else lives. I just was curious because you guys are all kind of new names that we're happy that you've attended.
One
We
last
always want
question
more
for
people
Susan.
to come to these. We always feel like we have such great information to share. Just a minute. I was just anyways, we appreciate you coming. We appreciate you coming.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Karen.
Well, we get insight from that side of the neighborhood. Usually we don't. So that's good. We've got people over there on Burnell.
Susan, are you across from Great Oak, Grocery Outlet, or are you on the park side of Great Santa Teresa?
Greg, I'm sorry, you're breaking up completely. I can't quite hear you.
Okay. the
Greg,
question
your
was-
audio is
location.
really bad.
My audio's bad, huh? Is it still bad?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Susan, are you on the park side of Santa Teresa or the other side of Santa Teresa from the grocery outlet?
I think the easiest way to explain it is that if you were to have lunch at the Flames, you could see my house.
So she's
so
over
you're-
by the golf course then,
Yes.
the
No.
golf course side.
Well,
She's on the other side of Santa Teresa.
I'm on the street.
on-
No, I'm on the street. I'm on the street side. If you were to have lunch at Flames, you can see my house.
Right.
Right.
Right there in Santa Teresa then, right, Susan?
Yes.
Yeah,
Santa
across
Teresa-
from grocery outlet, across from grocery outlet.
Yes.
Name, she said.
Chantilly is the nearest cross street.
There you go.
Well, thanks to everybody that's new for joining us, and thanks as well to all of our regular attendees, Teresa and John and Smita and Wyman and Peter, and then the rest of us are on the board. So we really appreciate everybody coming. It's a
Thank
good
you,
conversation.
board, for doing this and for keeping us connected. Hey, Peter, hello.
I turned my camera on so you could see
There you
what
go.
I look
Hi,
like.
Okay.
Okay,
Susan.
nice to
No.
see you. Now that when I see you at Grocery Outlet, I'll know you. Or do you go to Grocery Outlet?
I kept my camera off because my hair's a mess.
That's okay. So it's mine.
I still got mine in ponytails. So it's- I was hoping to see Linda Ross tonight, but she didn't show up.
Oh, I know Linda
Yeah.
Ross. Yeah. Seen her for a while. Okay, well,
Okay.
should we adjourn?
Yes, should adjourn.
Appreciate you guys.
9
Thank you
o'clock.
so much.
Yeah, you done?
But I'm
Okay.
still looking for the candy canes, Lynn Steele. Where are the candy canes?
They're in my cupboard.
Okay, good.
For next year, do they go stale?
Oh, they'll go stale. Yeah.
We'll be eating those, at the first, meetings.